Well, hello and welcome to another little episode for the grade 3 exam pupils and those doing Trinity I'm going to deal with today. The first thing I want to do today is look at the exercises at the back, and the first one is the hand-to-hand, which most of you are doing. Now, always, I keep stressing it and I'll stress it again, don't just start playing, look at the piece. And what I'd like to say is, even if you're not doing these exercises, what I teach you here and what tips I give here is applicable to anything and everything else that you work with musically. So the first thing we do is we try and look at everything that is there, all the details, before we just get stuck in and play. First things we need to start noticing are things like our key signatures. And this one is in actual fact, we see we have a B flat at the beginning, but are we in F major or are we in D minor? Now, quite easy to find that out. We'll look at the last note in the bass and it actually ends on a D. And if you hear the whole thing, it's definitely in a minor mode. Okay, so that's the first thing we try and simulate. We then look for where there are B flats, and we have one in the left hand in the second bar, we have in the next line in bar 4, and then we have a C sharp, which is in the second last bar before we end. And then don't forget that C sharp stays in force for that whole bar. So the first two notes in that bar, so we're talking bar 6, is C sharp and A, and then C sharp and a G. The next thing we look at is our tempo marking, because there's no good doing this thing like a march. That is not its character at all. It is marked andante, which is a moderate speed at a walking pace. We also see in the bass it says legato e cantabile, and that means smoothly and with a singing style. So it must come out beautiful. So you're singing it. Da, ti, da, di, da, rom, da, ti, da, rom, da, 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 ti, da, di, da, da. So that's what we want to hear. You see, we don't want to hear that dominating the whole piece. It's marked piano most of the way through. Well, in fact, all the way through. We have a polka at the end, which means we must get a bit slower. And this is for tone and balance and voicing. Now, I don't like doing those staccatos in the right and very staccato. I think the character is a little more half staccato. And keep it very quiet. Except for the start where you've got to announce it. Definitely keep it half staccatos. In the 6th bar again, the left hand has that first note, which is the staccato. When the right hand plays at A, I notice a lot of people do this. It's just not in character. You need to release that first A in the right hand with your left hand. See? Makes much more musical sense. All right, what else I would suggest, and by grade 3 you should be using the pedal, but you have to use it very carefully with this, and I think it sounds quite nice. I know they normally say don't use pedal on staccatos, but that's when we want crisp, bouncy staccatos. We want half staccatos here, so I think a little bit of pedal works, but it can't be messy, so you've got to change it often. You've got to be very careful with the use of pedal here. But I think it actually suits it. Be careful, you can start announcing the right hand, but as soon as the left hand comes in, drop that volume down. There's nothing worse when the right hand dominates here. makes sense. Nor on the left hand doing that. I think this needs a whole very sensitive, very calm approach, and beautiful. Shape your phrases. Lean to that one, then bring it down. Bit of a crescendo there, and then fade away and get slower. Create an atmosphere. Create a story with what you're doing. Okay, I hope that helps.